growth. The other big headline from today's report, federal budget deficits. The CBO says this year's deficit will reach $960 billion, $63 billion higher than the previous estimate, which was made just a few months ago. And starting next year, the deficit will likely exceed $1 trillion a year. That's not the debt. That's just 1 year's budget shortfall. Joining us now to take a closer look at this is MacGuineas, president of the Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. What happened, Maya? What happened? Tax cuts were supposed to be fantastic, and they were supposed to promote all this growth that was actually going to reduce the deficit. Isn't that what gets Republicans elected?
Yeah, that was the start of the storyline here, and it has just been a continued deterioration ever since. Listen, the terrible numbers that came out of the Congressional Budget Office are no surprise because they are basically all self-imposed of a number of tax and spending policies that have come out since President Trump has been in office. The past Congress have really done a ton of damage. But the fact that it's no surprise makes it no less troubling. We are in a time of economic strength, regardless of whether the economy is weakening or not. We're coming off of a very strong and very long expansion. That's when your deficit is supposed to be improving, and yet it has gotten worse and worse because we have cut taxes in an incredibly irresponsible way, and we followed that with 2 rounds of spending cuts, which we didn't pay for either. All of this just piling it onto the national debt.
So in fact, when you go into a recession, which inevitably happens, you tend to spend more. I mean, we can agree or disagree. Some people still disagree on the last round of stimulus in 2008. But the fact is that most people think you spend then and you reduce your deficit in good times. We didn't.
Well, yeah, so let me say I certainly agree that when the economy turns down, you want to be able to use fiscal stimulus to help juice the economy. Particularly important this round because the Fed is going to be so overextended with rates already quite low. And yet we are going to hit the next recession with our debt relative to the economy probably twice as high as it was when we went into the recession of 2008. That really leaves us with fewer tools in the toolbox. It's very damaging. It could play out in 2 ways. One, there could be arguments that we shouldn't do fiscal stimulus at the very time that we should. And the second is that there may be less effective fiscal stimulus and the results will be even higher debt levels. I would say on this front, we do know we're going to have another recession. The business cycle still exists. We should ahead of time put in place a plan where you have a fiscal stimulus package in the short run that really juices the economy and ties it to longer term savings that kick in only when the economy is strong again. If we'd done that last time, we'd be in better shape this time. And frankly, we know that our politicians are really unwilling to make the hard choices on the debt front. And so I think putting them in place ahead of time might be the best hope we have.
I've known you for a long time, Maya. I'm only smiling because you have said this for a long time.
Yes, I
One day, maybe someone will actually listen to you. MacGuineas is the president of the Committee for a Responsible